Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for the induction of the 16th class of the California Hall of Fame. I'm California First Partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom.
And I'm California Governor Gavin Newsom.
We're here at the California Museum to induct another extraordinary class of trailblazers into the California Hall of Fame.
Throughout their lives, these incredible leaders embodied the best of California values, constantly innovating, pursuing equality and justice, and pushing our society forward.
And they changed not just California, but the world. And while some are household names, others are quiet giants, whose legacies may be less known, but whose impact has been felt by the masses.
Yeah, which is why this tradition is so important to us, that we get to recognize change makers, real change makers, people who have shaped everything from the arts to science, education, sports, government to entertainment, and so much more.
And like so many of us, these luminaries are products of not just the American dream, but the California dream. Their stories speak to the heart and soul of this great state as we unite around our common humanity and regale in the strength of our diversity.
That's right. California's innovation, its leadership, they're fueled by that diversity. And this Hall of Fame class is proof that no matter who you are or where you come from, anything is possible in the Golden State.
And although these inspirational individuals are no longer with us, we're so proud to celebrate and honor the lives and legacies of Archie Williams, Olympic gold medalist and devoted educator; Carrie Fisher, esteemed actress and screenwriter; Etta James, renowned blues and rock singer; Julio Sarria, political activist and pioneer in the LGBTQ+ rights movement; Maggie Gee, history-making pilot and physicist; Shirley Black, beloved actress and dedicated public servant; and Vin Scully, iconic sports broadcaster. Now let's learn more about these honorees and their impact in California and beyond. During the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin, track and field star Archie Williams won gold in the 400-meter race. It was a victory for the U.S. and the world that challenged Hitler's goal of expanding his racist and anti-Semitic Aryan supremacy agenda.
But Oakland native Archie Williams didn't stop there. He went on to become an engineer, a pilot, a meteorologist, and a U.S. Air Force officer, even teaching the Tuskegee Airmen to fly during World War II.
Later in his life, Lieutenant Colonel Williams became a dedicated teacher at a Marin County high school that would later bear his name.
Archie is without a doubt an American hero whose courage, passion, and resilience paved the way for African Americans in athletics, STEM, and so much more.
Olympian, airman, teacher. The amazing life of Archie Williams can't be summed up in a single word. It began in Oakland, where young Williams developed a talent for track and field, a talent he honed at UC Berkeley, where he set a world record in the 400 meters and earned a chance to compete for his country. The 1936 Summer Olympics were held in Berlin, where the German chancellor intended to showcase his theories of Aryan racial superiority. Instead, Adolf Hitler watched as Williams and his African-American teammates dominated the track and field events.
Uncle Sam's Archie Williams barely beats out England's Godfrey Brown.
Williams took the gold in his specialty, 400 meters.
Not enough to beat Williams.
Williams returned a hero, but racism at home limited his opportunities. He earned a degree in mechanical engineering, as well as a pilot's license. But there was little work for black pilots, so Williams took a job training aviators at the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. Some of them became known as the Tuskegee Airmen. When World War II broke out, Williams enlisted in the Air Force, where he spent the next 22 years as a meteorologist, before retiring as lieutenant colonel in 1964. But he wasn't done working. Returning to the Bay Area, Williams became a beloved teacher at Sir Francis Drake High School, where he taught mathematics and computer science for 2 decades. He loved teaching kids who struggled academically and believed that every child can succeed with the right support. The school was renamed Archie Williams High School in recognition of his life's work and his positive impact on the lives of the students he taught.
In 1977, Carrie Fisher captured hearts around the world as the indomitable Princess Leia.
And through her performance, Carrie infused Princess Leia with what would become her trademark humor, fierceness, and independence, making Star Wars a household name.
Carrie redefined female protagonists, proving female characters can be complex and versatile. That's right. They could be diplomats, fighters, love interests, and even save the universe.
And throughout her 40-year career, Carrie Fisher put her exceptional acting and writing talents to good use, infusing humor and vulnerability into everything she did. Please take a look.
Carrie Fisher grew up as Hollywood royalty, but she blazed her own trail in an acclaimed 43-year career as actress, novelist, memoirist, and screenwriter. The daughter of actors Eddie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, she got her start as a teenager, appearing on stage with her mother in the theater and in her cabaret act.
When you're weary, feeling small. No, it isn't.
That led to a scene-stealing role in Shampoo.
No, they're not. No, they're not. I'm nothing like my mother.
The film won 1974's Academy Award for Best Picture. But her real breakthrough came a few years later with a starring role in a limited-release science fiction film that few expected to be a success.
What are you doing?
She reprised her role as Princess Leia in the sequels, Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. The Star Wars trilogy would become a global cultural touchstone for generations of fans. But from childhood, Fisher was always an avid reader and writer. And at the height of her fame as an actress, she embarked on a second career in literature. Her first novel, Postcards from the Edge, was a fictionalized reworking of her relationship with her actress mother and her own struggles with addiction. She adapted the story into an award-winning screenplay for the 1990 film.
You're only interested in instant gratification.
Instant gratification
I don't want you to think about any of that right now.
Postcards won critical acclaim on its way to topping the box office. Fisher scrapped the veil of fiction for her one-woman play, Wishful Drinking, and the memoir of the same name.
I was invited to go to a mental hospital. And, well, you don't want to be rude, right? So you go.
She excelled at turning her battles with mental illness and addiction into sardonic and absurdist humor that was nonetheless relatable.
What about race? I mean, I say that is the last taboo.
Fisher continued to act in plays, on television, and in countless movie roles, including the expanded Star Wars franchise.
I've always hated watching you leave.
Her portrayal of Princess Leia had become so iconic that even after her death in 2016, the studio worked her into new episodes using scenes cut from previous films.
Nothing's impossible.
It was a reminder that Carrie Fisher's force will always be with us.
Well, there are those once-in-a-generation voices, so powerful, so dynamic, that they're hard to ignore and perhaps even harder to forget. One of those voices belongs to Grammy Award-winning rock and roll Hall of Famer, Etta James.
A daughter of Los Angeles, Etta bridged the gap between R&B and rock and roll like never before, securing her rightful place in history as the matriarch of the blues.
The musical powerhouse that was Etta James is memorialized in her 29 studio albums, ranging across jazz and rock, soul, pop, and the blues.
And Etta's emotional ballads and fierce vocals continue to resonate deeply with contemporary audiences. At last, let's hear Etta's unforgettable voice.
In a career spanning 6 decades, Etta James brilliantly bridged jazz, R&B, rock, gospel, and blues, creating a timeless musical legacy. Born Jamesetta Hawkins in the Watts neighborhood of Los Angeles to a single mother who was mostly absent, she lived with a series of foster parents until coming to San Francisco's Fillmore district in the early 1950s. There, she was discovered by R&B legend Johnny Otis, who convinced Jamesetta to change her name to Etta James.
You got to roll with me, Henry.
All right, baby.
Roll with me,
James had her first hit single, The Wallflower, when she was just 17. She wouldn't release her first solo record for another 5 years. At Last peaked at number 68 on the Billboard charts in 1960, but it is remembered today as one of the greatest albums ever produced.
My love has come along.
The title song became her signature ballad, highlighting the sultry power of her contralto.
Are over.
James would record dozens more studio albums, but she was perhaps best loved for her electric live shows, which she continued performing into her 70s. A new generation discovered Etta James when she was portrayed by Beyoncé in Cadillac Records, a film chronicling the rise of the chess music label, which James helped turn into an R&B hit machine in the 60s and 70s. Etta James was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. She received a Grammy for Lifetime Achievement 10 years later.
Throughout his life, legendary drag queen Jose Julio Sarria made an indelible mark on California's LGBTQ+ community.
Jose became the first openly gay candidate to run for public office in 1961, revolutionizing the modern LGBTQ+ civil rights movement and paving the way for other heroes like Harvey Milk.
The Empress of San Francisco's legacy goes beyond politics. He was an advocate, a philanthropist, and the founder of the International Imperial Court System, one of the largest LGBT organizations in the world.
No matter what the role, Jose's accomplishments are a reflection of his unshakable pride in himself and his community.
Romantic rendezvous.
The Empress Widow Norton, a popular San Francisco drag performer, was the alter ego of Jose Julio Sarria. But Sarria was much more than the Empress. Sarria grew up in San Francisco, but never grew very tall. When he went to enlist at the start of World War II, recruiters said he was too short. But Sarria wouldn't budge, and soon he was off for basic training. He was assigned to intelligence school until a background investigation revealed his homosexuality. Sarria was reassigned to serve as a cook and a driver for the rest of the war. Returning home from Germany, Sarria hoped to become a teacher. But after an arrest and a raid targeting gay patrons at the St. Francis Hotel Bar, there was no hope of receiving his certification. One night, waiting tables at the Black Cat Cafe, the irrepressible Sarria heard the piano player begin an aria from the opera Carmen. He launched into the libretto, and thus Sarria's storied career in drag was born.
Hello, hello, everybody. I'm glad to see
His
you
musical
again.
act took a political turn when he began substituting song lyrics with humorous verses about San Francisco's overzealous vice squad. His message was defiance against police harassment and a call for pride in the community.
United we stand, or divided they'll catch us one by one.
Sarria wanted to show that San Francisco's large LGBTQ community could be a political force.
Everybody has the right to run for office. And they said, you can't run for office, you're gay. They ain't gonna let you. And I said, watch me.
In 1961, Sarria became the first openly gay candidate for public office in the United States. And while he wasn't elected, his strong showing paved the way for generations to come. Sarria helped launch several organizations aimed at supporting the LGBTQ community. The most enduring is the Imperial Court System, which grew from his whimsical Empress Norton persona.
Gentlemen, here come the Grand Marshals of the 1989 parade.
Jose Julio Sarria served on multiple occasions as the Grand Marshal in the San Francisco Pride Parade, and in 2005, he received the committee's Lifetime Achievement Award. Celebrated as the mother of the gay community, he will always be remembered as the Empress.
Our next inductee soared to remarkable heights, literally.
As a young girl growing up in Oakland, Maggie Gee dreamt of one day becoming a pilot. And during World War II, she accomplished her dream and in service to her country earned her pilot's license and a spot in the first ever U.S. military female pilot program.
Maggie made history as one of only 2 Chinese-American women accepted into the program.
She then went on to pursue several degrees at UC Berkeley, worked as a physicist at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, and established herself as an accomplished community leader. Please take a look.
Maggie Gee was a pioneering aviator and physicist who broke barriers for Asian American women. Growing up in Berkeley in the early years of aviation, Maggie Gee would spend hours at the Oakland airport, thrilled to watch the planes taking off and landing. In 1935, her hero, Amelia Earhart, flew into the Oakland airport after her record-breaking solo flight from Honolulu. 12-year-old Maggie waved at the famous aviator, and Earhart waved back. She was hooked forever on the magic of flight, but she had never heard of a Chinese-American girl becoming a pilot. It was hard to imagine how she would ever get the opportunity to learn to fly. But when she was 18, World War II broke out, and suddenly everything changed. Eager to join the war effort, she dropped out of college to work as a draftsman in the Mare Island shipyards, rebuilding ships damaged in battle. There she heard about the WASP program. WASP stood for Women Air Force Service Pilots. Maggie Gee was determined to blaze her own trail in the male-dominated world of military aviation. And soon, she and her 2 best friends from the shipyards had bought a used car for $25 and headed east to the WASP training fields in Sweetwater, Texas. Out of 25,000 applicants, just over 1,000 were admitted and made it through the rigorous training. Maggie Gee was one of only 2 Chinese-American women to earn their silver wings. The U.S. military did not allow women to serve in combat, so WASPs took on other dangerous duties. Maggie Gee trained combat pilots in instrument flying, and she co-piloted B-17 bombers through mock dogfights to train gunners. When the war neared an end, the Air Force disbanded the WASP program, so Maggie Gee returned to Berkeley, where she studied to become a physicist. Once again, she succeeded in a male-dominated field, eventually working at the famed Lawrence Livermore Laboratories. And she committed herself to political causes, holding local and statewide positions. 65 years after the war, Maggie Gee and her sister pilots finally received the recognition they earned for their service to the nation. They were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal in 2010. She received a 2nd Congressional Gold Medal posthumously as a Chinese-American veteran of World War II.
Shirley Temple Black quite literally danced her way into the hearts of people all around the globe, bringing much-needed joy to Depression-era audiences.
Those blonde ringlets, that dimpled smile, and her infectious spirit garnered international stardom.
Best known for her childhood success, Shirley had an even more amazing second act. As a dedicated public servant, she assumed multiple diplomatic posts under 4 U.S. presidents.
From America's darling to an American ambassador, Shirley proved that you can pursue your dreams at any age.
Shirley Temple was born when Hollywood was still in the silent picture era. After being scouted at a Los Angeles dance school when she was just 3, the young actress began landing small roles in major studio films. The breakout 1934 hit, Stand Up and Cheer, made it clear to Fox Studios that Shirley Temple was more than just another kid with a cute face. And soon production began on a new film written just for her. The smash hit Bright Eyes featured the song that will be forever associated with her name.
On the good ship, lollipop, it's a sweet trip to a candy shop where bonbons play.
By the time she was 6 years old, Shirley Temple was one of the biggest stars of the talkies, enchanting audiences with her ringlets, her dimples, and her song and dance skills in movies like The Little Colonel. She grew out of those precocious child roles, but continued to star in lighthearted films that lifted the spirits of a nation weary from years of depression and war. By the time she mostly retired from show business, Shirley Temple had already starred in more than 40 major motion pictures. She was only 21. After marrying Charles Black in 1950 and raising 3 children, Shirley Temple Black embarked on a big third act. Driven by her heartfelt concern for the human condition, she dedicated herself to public service, running for Congress, and serving in a succession of diplomatic assignments. In 1969, she was appointed as a U.S. delegate to the United Nations, later representing the U.S. at the first UN conference focused on the environment. That led to appointments as U.S. ambassador to Ghana, service as the first female U.S. chief of protocol, and another U.S. ambassadorial assignment, this one to Prague. She personally accompanied Václav Havel, newly elected president of the Czech Republic, on his first state visit. Shirley Temple Black spent her childhood as one of the biggest stars on the planet, but she refused to rest on her early fame.
I think we all learned from the past. I just feel we shouldn't live there. We shouldn't live in the past.
While they may have gotten their start in Brooklyn, there is no Los Angeles tradition quite like Dodgers baseball. And Vin Scully deserves a lot of the credit.
Yeah, Vin lived and breathed Dodger Blue. He was their heartbeat, and for nearly 6 decades, his legendary voice was the soundtrack of the summer.
Vin's relatable announcing style and ability to paint a picture of the game helped unite audiences around America's favorite pastime.
A poetic improviser, he was unlike any other. Listeners could literally feel his love of the game in every Dodger broadcast. Listen for yourself.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be.
If you grew up in Southern California, this voice meant one thing.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
For an astounding 67 years, Vin Scully was the voice of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like the team, Scully started out in Brooklyn. When the franchise moved west in 1958, Scully came with them, and for the next 6 decades, he was an integral part of Dodger fandom. Angelenos became known for bringing transistor radios to the ballpark so they could tune in to Vin calling the game while watching the action on the field.
And Mickey Mantle races in to grab the ball and hold.
Scully usually worked alone, providing the color commentary and the play-by-play. That gave him the space to spin uplifting stories that brought depth to the experience of the game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone!
His elegant baritone and poetic turn of phrase are woven into our memories of great baseball moments.
In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
Scully's career went beyond the Dodgers. He was a broadcaster's broadcaster. For years, he called the World Series for NBC.
Little roller up along first, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
He called football, golf, and tennis for CBS. But it was Dodgers Nation that claimed him as one of their own. Baseball changed with the changing times, but one thing remained constant. Vin Scully in the booth, calling it straight. Scully announced in 2016 that the season would be his last.
0-1 to Charlie. Swung on a high fly ball to deep left field. The Dodger bench empties. Would you believe a home run? And the
Dodgers clinched the division in true Hollywood fashion with a walk-off home run in the 10th inning of Vin's final home game. And the Dodger faithful expressed their love for the most decorated broadcaster in the history of baseball.
Wow. What a special group. We are so grateful to the loved ones of these remarkable individuals for helping us enshrine the life stories of the phenomenal 16th class of the California Hall of Fame.
Yeah, these honorees continue to inspire us long after their passing, and their impact will be felt for generations.
So to help keep their legacy alive, their stories will live on in the California Hall of Fame.
But most importantly, their contributions will continue to inspire us, inspire the dreamer, the creator, the advocate, and the change maker within each and every one of us.
So with that, we are honored, we are thrilled to welcome the 16th class to the California Hall of Fame.